please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Well, today's been a rough day for the market, absolutely no doubt about that, because in the afternoon it looked like there was a bit of a recovery, but that did not sustain. And though we are not quite ending at the lowest point, or this is clearly not a trend day, but still there's been quite a bit of damage to individual stocks today. One is advanced decline. Now keep in mind, as of now we are factoring in another downtick in the US market. That's what the futures are pricing in. So it'll be interesting to see if tomorrow morning you could actually start with better cues than what we are sitting at right now. Ashwani and Mitesh back with us for BTST calls. Ashwani, you go first. On the index, would you want to take home any positions, and what would be the stock calls?
Well, on the index, because one day cannot decide anything. But if we have a gap up tomorrow, which also leads to a sell-off, then there could be confirmation. But since that is tomorrow, let's talk about today. BPCL is a buy with a stop of 480, target of 505. Just Dial is a sell with a stop of 531, target of 510. And Aisha, like I was saying, that's a buy with a stop of 26,650, target of 27,500. Now this is also a positional type of a buy, so you have to give it some space, but it appears that it could have upside in the short term.
Interesting. Aisha has been one of the weakest performers on the Nifty since 2018 began. Ashwani, they're feeling that perhaps some sort of end to that sluggishness is in sight. That's Aisha Motors for you today. Okay, Mitesh, let's get your ideas as well. BTST, STBT, whatever you have in mind.
So one buy and one sell. One of the OMCs which I have on my BTST list is IOC. Keep a stop below 412, 411 is what I recommend. 426 to 428 could be a target. And LIC Housing Finance is a sell. That's a short-term trading call. Keep a stop at 551. Look for targets close to 510.
Okay, Tata Motors has moved to low point of the day, but a lot of long traders are stuck here, and that stock, of course, right now seeking lower levels. So here again, the problem is it's a bit of a global play. So that's why essentially when there's global weakness, you see this kind of move on Tata Motors. Traders are stuck here, and that stock, of course, right now seeking lower levels. So here again, the problem is it's a bit of a global play. So that's why essentially when there's global weakness, you see this kind of move on Tata Motors. Ashwani, technically, any thoughts here?
See, 430, 435 was the Brexit day low, and once that was broken, each time it goes there tends to be a sell-off. So I don't think Tata Motors, while downside may be limited, but there is a whole lot of upside, given that anyways autos are kind of losing bit of their mojo.
Okay, that's one more stock that's on the sluggish side this afternoon. More earnings now, and in earnings stock, let's focus on Piramal Group, which reported a good set of numbers for the third quarter. Top line and bottom line growth was more than 20%. Kevin Lee caught up with Ajay Piramal, chairman of the company, to discuss those numbers and also the outlook going ahead.
Housing finance has got good early start. We have been able to disperse about 490 crores already in the first quarter, and we have a good outstanding book of loans which have been approved and yet have to be dispersed.
And the big news coming in is that you've gotten that RBI approval for the reverse merger of the housing finance business. By when can we expect that to be completed?
So we will complete this reverse merger by the end of this quarter, or the end of the financial year. Yeah.
Okay, so by the end of March. Yeah. And speaking a little bit about the pharma business, I think that grew by 9% this quarter compared to last year. Are you seeing headwinds there, or how is that doing?
The pharma sector is doing well. A lot of what happens in this quarter, it is just a quarterly basis, because many of our customers are global pharma companies, and for them the year ending is December, and therefore very often they curtail their inventories and their ordering, and we will see that the growth will pick up again in the first quarter of this year, and so overall in the year the growth should be good.
Okay, that's Piramal Enterprises. Anand, your thoughts on the stock or any other NBFC name that you may like at this price?
Well, I mean, if you don't look, I don't think you should worry too much about the valuations if you're looking for NBFCs. But clearly, I think the CV cycle is the one that is looking the most promising. So if you have to look at NBFCs, I think that is the place to be in.
Okay, Anand, thanks very much for joining us on Closing Bell today and giving us your views and thoughts. On that note, let's get an insight into dealing rooms today. How are dealers braving with this sluggishness that we've got? It's not just mid caps, even large caps facing a bit of the brunt. We've got Nimesh with all the details. Good afternoon, Nimesh.
Hi, Sylvia. Good afternoon. So, clearly you can see the pressure in the mid caps and small caps, and that's the pain which is going on for the last 7, 8, 10 days, and that seems to be the trend today as well. In fact, for the last 2 days now, we can see even the good numbers are getting sold into. So that actually shows the kind of sentiment which is there across retail and HNI category. But just to add to this point, while the markets are down for the last few days, the FI number seems to be quite positive. On a daily basis, I'm getting a sense that the FIs continue to be net buyers, especially in the large cap names. Today also there is a bit of a defensive buying going on. So some of the PSU stocks are getting bought into. What on the OMCs today, Surabhi? That's the space which is buzzing in trade today. Clearly, the crude cooling off a little bit is a big help. But there was an interesting report from Ambit today which suggested that the marketing margins for OMCs are now trending positive. So that probably is a big takeaway for the OMC stocks buzzing in trade today. Generally the sense I'm getting is at least in the mid cap and small cap there is a word of caution now. Even if you talk to the large brokers, they're asking clients to cut down their leverage positions in the mid cap and small cap. So Street is going a bit cautious heading into this budget because of this continuous rumors of long-term capital gain tax. But broadly, from a positioning point of view, it looks like and it's a clear divergence between mid cap and small caps, with large caps going up essentially on the back of ETF flows which are very strong at the FI desk.
Okay, Nimesh, thanks a lot for that. Neeraj Diwan of Quantum Securities is also with us now. Neeraj, good afternoon. Your thoughts first on the OMC space where we have seen some big buying today.
Yeah, good afternoon. I think OMC space is one space where, as far as reforms are concerned, everything is there, everything is priced into perfection. I think it is more to do with the kind of inventory gain or losses that we see. So if one is an investor in OMC, I think when you see a consolidation phase, you get new money coming in. This is a space where one can get a long-term 10 to 15% return. So I think this kind of a market where we're seeing FI buying continuing and people going for blue chips, I think this would be one of the preferred sectors where one has a long-term view, can get that kind of return in the markets.
There's a lot of volatile trade on these stocks. BPCL, for instance, has lost almost all the gain that it started building after the IOC numbers came. So plenty of volatility out there. Crompton Consumer is a stock that's on the move right now. There's some buying on EIL. EIL is still in negative territory, but it's sort of trying to get off the lows of the day. Stock that's moving higher now on the back of earnings is LG Balkrishna. Nigel has been pointing this out. Good numbers, pretty solid all-round performance. 8% up on that stock. And of course, let's not forget today's listing, the new kid on the block, Amber. In a weakish market, still holding on to about 44% of that listing pop. So looking good on the price. Neeraj, not sure if you track this one, making its debut, and the market seems to be liking the offering. They're into the ODM space when it comes to air conditioners.
Yeah, I think the kind of interest that we saw in the IPO was very good. But I think as far as the pricing is concerned, we were expecting it to get listed at 30-40% above the price. It's already at that price, so I don't see too much of valuation comfort now at this level. So, it's definitely a good long-term play, but I would not be investing at these levels based on valuations and the kind of growth that we see in this sector.
Okay, quite a bit of price damage in a lot of stocks today. If you take a look at some of them, Ashwani, let's take the 3 top F&O losers, and is there any trade in any of these? Wokhart, Just Dial, and PC Jewelers.
See, jewelry seems to be, Titan is also down. That there is some budget issue which is now getting priced into these guys. But overall, a lot of stocks have fallen vertically. Yes Bank, PC Jeweler. So from here, the trade is, even if you do get any sort of bounce tomorrow, look for shorting opportunities, because the issue is not how much we've fallen. The issue is that there wasn't a substantial pullback rally at any point in the day, and that just means that the weight of selling was extremely high, and particularly on large caps, because last 4 or 5 sessions only 5-6 stocks were taking the market higher. Today all those stocks were coming off. So now, along with the mid cap sell-off, chances are you will also have the Nifty looking down to you. So that way more pressure will get created. I think the bears have control of the index and of several stocks. So taking control back is going to take a while, and possibly a bit of downside, whatever happens in the US.
Okay, that's Ashwani's point on this. What is the sense, Anuj, on the kind of unwinding that we are seeing in some of these stocks? I mean, the stocks that went up, PC and Walkart, which was a stock 360, is now down almost 10% as we speak.
Yeah.
So what's really going on?
Yeah, but those are mid caps, Surabhi, that's fine. But HDFC Bank, a couple of large caps are also ending at the low point. I think TVS Motor, for example, the earnings reaction wasn't really great. So the point here is that this is a bull market, but the index maybe has got a bit extended. Would we have a tradable correction? The problem for this market is that while the corrections happen, is that tradable? If you take a look at the Nifty's 20-day moving average, I think that's 10,700, 750 thereabout. So after that breakout from 10,500, you had a 700-point expansion, or nearly 650, 700-point expansion. In the past, you normally, in corrections, give up, say, about 1/3 of that, so about 200 points in the Nifty, which will also maybe coincide with the rising 20-day moving average. But the point here is that, do you trade that correction? Do you have the guts to trade a correction in a bull market? I think that is the point. Also, there's budget, right, 2 days later. So normally post-budget, there's some kind of post-budget correction which also takes place. So it will be interesting to see if the two events sort of coincide. So that's something that I'll be watching out for.
Okay, well, as of now, it's been pretty brutal for a couple of stocks. Imami, we've discussed that as well, which is down about 8%, Walkart down about 9%. And on the large cap side of the screen, by the way, a lot of this OMC enthusiasm, that's been waning off. So now the gains are much more muted than where we were about 40 minutes back.
Exactly. A couple of others as well, where the gains are clearly coming off a bit. Surabhi mentioned the OMCs, but a couple of stocks like Power Grid and SBI as well are cooling off a bit. I'll tell you something.
I saw Bajaj Finance also today. I mean, in this correction, I mean, that's a blue chip, but nonetheless, it's been not a great day for those who've been.
No, I think Bajaj Finance clearly, after a long time, is going through a deeper correction, 15% correction now on Bajaj Finance, Surabhi. So, of course, that huge rally on Bajaj Finance is over, but at some point, of course, it will become a buy. But for now, 15% lower, and generally you see a trend when stocks get into the Nifty, they sort of underperform a bit, then they make a bottom and then they rally. I think case in point was UPL as well. So this happens when you get stocks in the index after a massive move already which takes place, because the story is already over by the time you include these stocks in the Nifty. Anyway, let's go through the closing rates. What was interesting today was that the market today had a bit of a downtick, but it didn't really broke down. So stocks like maybe Eicher Motors, Bharti Infratel, they were down, but there was not one index loser with more than 3% cut. Eicher Motors with 2.8% cut is what we had. Then, of course, your Dr. Reddy's, which was down 2%. UPL was down about 2%. Yes Bank, Reliance, TCS, that's where the problem was for the index. These are the stocks which drag the market. You may want to add an HDFC, a Tata Motors, Infosys as well, Maruti as well. That also corrected a bit. On the way up, of course, all the three OMCs were higher, and State Bank Surabhi ended a bit in the green, up about 0.5%.
Well, on the mid-cap side, lots of correction coming through. I have a long list of stocks here. Let's start off with Walkart, 9% down, Just Dial, 8% down, PC Jeweler, 7%. You've had selling on something like a Phenotex Chemicals. Now, people would know the vertical rise this stock had over the last couple of weeks, and then the subsequent fall. Today was another down day for this one. Indiabulls Real Estate has lost about 4.5%. Havells, the big stock, that's fallen 4% on its way down today. Bhansali Engineering, Himadri Chemicals, some of these specialty chemical stocks also losing ground. Tata Coffee down 3%. Not a great day for leverage. So GMR Infra has lost names like Bhushan Steel. By the way, Bhushan's lost 15% today. A lot of people also riding on that stock on hopes of a successful resolution. NBCC's lost about 2% thereabouts. So those are the major losers. Let's also just mention the final rates on Imami once again, because about a 7 to 8% sort of a down move on that stock finally coming through. TTK Prestige has lost about 5.5%. Somani Ceramics, result disappointment, 7% bad numbers for this one. V-Mart Retail, it's a long list of stocks on the way down. Let me see what were the outliers. Where is it that we found some green shoots? Group Finance, very volatile off late, this stock. Now today was a 4% up day on this one. KPIT Tech, for what it's worth, the market is keeping its patience with the demerger and the business restructuring that is going to be underway. LG Balkrishna, that's a good number at the end of the third quarter, 10% up on that stock, so that worked well. Actually, Balkrishna Industries also up about 4-5%. And finally, to cap it off, today's listing, of course, had no problems whatsoever. So on Amber, we've got about a 44% kind of an up move on day one. But I guess that's an outlier because otherwise, Anuj, the mid-cap correction continues for now.
Yeah, it continues for now. But you know what was interesting about today's trade? Other interesting bit about today's trade is what was happening with on the option side. For example, looking at some of the sort of deep out-of-money options, it didn't really gain too much in the premium. So, and if you see the Nifty futures, that also didn't really indicate that as of now this market is pricing in a deep decline. I mean, if you take a look at the 10,700 put, it's actually gone down. It was trading at 66 when the day started. It's closing at 60 for a put. So the put premiums have fallen in today's trade on a day the market has fallen, which is interesting because you're also very close to a sort of a mini binary event with the budget. So the volatility has been picking up. The India VIX, essentially what we're trying to indicate here is look at the 10,700 put. Someone's willing to ride that put even when the market is falling. So there's a bit of a confidence that whatever happens, maybe the market's base has moved up to 10,700, 10,800, and that's why even on down days you may want to sell options. So let's see. Ashwani, the point I was making, and I wanted your thoughts on this. Do you think this is going to be a tradable correction? And if yes, what should be the strategy for traders who want to capitalize on this correction?
First on the puts, if the premium was 5, 7, 10 points and gone up to 30, obviously the put uses the Nifty futures as the base, so that will appreciate. Having said that, I think these 4 or 5 large stocks like HDFC Bank, they have kind of topped out. The problem is with the financials. Because earlier it was, PSU banks, they fall every day, but every day HDFC Bank kind of pulls up the market. Now, the bank Nifty is running out of players who can take it higher. And today, even IT fell. So if IT and banks both start to fall, Reliance also had a not such a great day, then the index can correct. So I wouldn't be surprised if you can, shave off 250, 300, because at earlier occasions, something puts up its hand. The way, everything has run up, what will put up its hand? Because nothing is really corrected. So now you have mid caps plus large caps, both doing their thing. Now, even if US continues to go up or does not fall a whole lot, I think some amount of momentum on the downside is picking up in our market. Otherwise, there should have been buying, hoping that, US goes up. Because you are in a bull market, you would tend to hope like that. But that has not been the case today. So tomorrow we'll have to see any sort of pullback, how the market responds, and whether, again, a sell-off happens from a lower level than it happened for today.
Okay, gentlemen, then we will wrap it up on that note. Let's see, it's been a challenging day for the bulls today. Let's see what sort of cues we come back with and how we can take things up tomorrow, middle of the week. Many thanks for joining us on Closing Bell. Well, our Closing Bell Money Control question of the day was, do you see a market sell-off after the budget? 67% of the respondents said yes, 33% felt otherwise.
Yeah, I think some may be impacted by today's move, of course, as well. Srini is saying that since it's liquidity-driven, market at present due to various reasons, selling off post-budget may not be there.
Another of the respondents says that historically there has always been a rise in the market post the budget. So using a little bit of history, I don't know if that's going to really happen or not. But anyway, we have to take a break. As we do that, here's wishing Anuj a very, very happy birthday. He's been in office, had a full working day. Anuj, I hope you managed to make the most of the evening and have a blast.
Okay, Surabhi, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Of course, all of you have been so nice with me today, and I hope you can be that nice throughout the years.
For the market, however, it continues to be all about numbers, and tomorrow's a big day for earnings. L&T will be reporting numbers. We'll also hear from the likes of ICICI Bank. So let's get started first with L&T. Naveen is joining in. Naveen, big boy coming up with numbers tomorrow. What should we expect? Okay, I don't think we have Naveen immediately joining in. We'll get back to L&T in just a bit. Let's see if we have Nigel, I believe, is joining in. Nigel, I'm afraid I don't know which number you're covering. I'm guessing it's one of the steel majors. Run us through.
Well, Surabhi, I think you asked for L&T, so I'll give you L&T then.
Okay, wonderful.
In terms of revenues, we're expecting a growth of closer around 10% approximately. So that's something we're looking at. Why are we looking at a 10% growth? We're expecting double-digit YOY growth in their core business. That's the ENC revenues. That's going to be coming on a low base as well. In terms of an EBITDA number, we're working with a growth of around 16.5%. So though we're seeing a growth of only 10% on the top line, the operating profit should swell up by close to around 16%. That's telling you that, in fact, the margin expansion is something that we could look forward to. So watch for a 50 to around 100 basis points margin expansion. It'll be coming in on a low base as well. The net profit, though, that should jump up by close to around 50%. We're working with a number of around 1,443 crores. For L&T, what are the numbers you really look at? The order inflow number, that's going to be very, very crucial. We have a rough number of around 35,000 crores approximately, but we're looking out for the management guidance as well. What was the order inflow in the past quarter? Do they stick with the guidance that they had laid out? And also, what's the working capital requirement going ahead? And more importantly, shifting focus from their core business, we'll be looking at any asset monetization plans as well. So big boy L&T comes out with its set of numbers. We'll be waiting by tomorrow to see what can they deliver.
Okay, thanks Nigel very much for getting us those L&T expectations. It's also about the big banking major ICICI Bank, as we told you. Let's ask Abhishek what can be expected out of ICICI Bank. Abhishek?
Well, Surabhi, all eyes will be on the divergence number that the bank throws up. Now, remember that in Q2, they have not reported divergence in line with what Yes Bank and Axis Bank reported. They were still under the process. So that number is expected to come out tomorrow. So all eyes will be on that. Slippages have largely remained in the range of 4,500 to 4,700 crores. Anything below 4,500 crores will be positive. Analysts on street are working with a number of close to 5,300 crores. The drill down list or the watch list is at 19,600 crores, forming 4.1% of the book. Now, how that behaves needs to be seen closely. A major chunk of slippages coming from the drill down list will be positive, while non-watch list slippages, if they increase, that will be negative. Movement in terms of stress assets, that is SDR, S4A, 5/25, etc., will be seen. Loan growth, which improved in the previous quarter to 6.5%, anything between 8 to 10% on a YOY basis will be positive. Now, our poll suggests an NII growth of close to 10%, while net profit, as per the street estimate, is the lowest in last 7 quarters at about 1,800 odd crores, and that is down by 25.5%. Back to you.
The Videocon Industries will challenge the NCLT proceedings against itself, is what we've told you already. But Ritu Singh now joins us for more on that same story. Ritu, hi, what extra more do you have for us now?
You know, that's right. After Jaiswal, Nico, Videocon Industries becomes the second company from RBI's second defaulter list to challenge the Reserve Bank of India for its decision to send the company into the NCLT. Now, the argument we understand from sources that Videocon really has is that it had offered a recast proposal to the bankers to repay some of that 43,000 crore debt that the company is sitting on. In fact, it had said that it would monetize some of its land parcels in Chennai, Kolkata and Mumbai, among other places, to raise about 10,000 crore rupees and thereafter raise about 3 to 4,000 crore rupees every year to repay and pay off some of that huge debt burden that it is sitting on. And that is why it says, given that this plan was already in place, it is unnecessary for the banks to now go ahead and drag the company into the court under the insolvency proceedings. We understand from sources that the Reserve Bank of India is yet to receive the notice, but tomorrow is when the Bombay High Court will hear the hearing from Videocon Industries. It is a writ petition that Videocon Industries has filed, and tomorrow in fact will also be the hearing for Jaiswal Nico for a similar matter. So two important cases rather, coming up for hearing, and we'll keep you updated on those.
We will look forward to that. Thank you so much, Ritu. And nearly 3% decline on the Videocon share as well on your screens is how it's reacting during the day today. But well, that's about the markets. Let's shift focus now to the commodities as a space, which hasn't had such a great day really, because there is strength in US dollar, and the markets also are looking at the Fed meeting that kickstarts today. We will of course hear about the economy, inflation, monetary policy outlook tomorrow. This also is Janet Yellen's last meeting that she would be chairing as the Fed chief. And apart from that, it also is the US President's statement today to the Union address, where he might talk about the infra spendings. So those are a couple of events that markets are taking cues from today and tomorrow as and when it comes out though. Tapan Patel of LKP Securities now joins us to talk more about the impact of these events and the prices movement as well. Tapan, first of all, how are you looking at the base metal prices? Because while we started the day on a negative note with these couple of events slated out, how are you keeping your positions?
Hi Manisha, good afternoon. Yes, I think base metals have rallied recently in the last week, especially zinc and nickel, and lead prices have rallied too much. So we can expect some correction from current levels, especially in copper, because copper has so much negative fundamental to talk about because the supply levels are high. The inventory levels at Shanghai and LME at a rising level, and there is no demand which is supporting by the Chinese data. So we can expect the copper prices to trade lower in near term. So selling around 450 or higher levels is a good selling level to go short, with the target of 445 and 441.
How also are you looking at the precious metals as a space, Tapan? Because after strong gains, I mean, we are nearly 2.5% up for gold prices for the month of Jan. Today, of course, has been a second straight day of profit taking coming in here. The strength in US dollar, of course, has been the main reason. But going forward from here, with the kind of strength that we've seen in crude, the geopolitical concerns, the monetary policy meetings with the central banks, which are changing, a lot of statement here, how would you see that impacting the precious metals?
Yes, I think the couple of days going ahead will be crucial for the gold and silver prices. I think the price will remain in the sideways in the current range, because the stronger dollar is also supporting the prices, and concern about Fed and Indian budget is also there. So the speculation will be there. Plus the declining global inventory, global equity markets also limiting factor for the downside. So we can expect gold prices to trade in the current range, but buyers will be on selling side. So sell around 30,100 is good level to go short for the target of 29,950.
Another profit taking, and in a big way, has come in for the crude oil prices, where we are down nearly a percentage point and really off the kind of highs that we saw in the previous week. But again, as I mentioned for gold, the crude oil prices also seem to be closing the month of January with very strong gains, best January actually since 2008. Given the kind of prices we are trading right now, what is your sense? How is Feb looking to you, and what cues would you want to watch out for?
Yes, for crude oil, broad fundamentals are still bullish. The OPEC compliance and the geopolitical tensions are still there, which is supporting the higher prices. But from current level, you can expect some correction with rise in US rig counts, and also we can expect the inventory levels also to rise from the US perspective. So we can expect the correction from current levels towards 4070, and sell on rise is at a result for the near term. Around 4170 is a good level to go short in crude oil prices.
Tapan, just coming back to the same point, as we are closing January, we are almost positive on everything across, whether it is the metals as a space, precious metals or crude. As we get into Feb, what is your sense on what sector would you want to really stay long on?
I think gold and crude will be a good commodities to go along in the February. I think because after Fed and after Indian budget, we can expect gold prices to again rise with a target of 1370 and 29,900 is a good support range for MCX level. So buying around 29,950 is a good level to go along in the gold prices, and also for crude oil 4070, 4060 is a good level to go along in the February contract. So with the target of 4220 and 4440. So that is a good level to go long in the crude prices.
And much of the cues, as you would agree, would come in from the currency as a space, as we have seen. So with the US dollar trading where it is off its 3-year lows, but with most people still saying that we are in a downtrend here. So how are you looking at the currency as a space?
Yeah, for short term, we can expect the rupee depreciation to continue towards 64.10, 64.20 in a February contract. The basically supporting factors are stronger dollar and declining equity indices. So these next 2 days will be crucial for the USD/INR. But I think the overall trend will be on the bearish side for USD/INR. So the Indian equity markets are looking strong, and also the all fundamental economic data are looking good from Indian side. So we can expect 62.30, 62 levels in the USD/INR over the longer term.
That's about the strategy, Tapan, but as the mood in the country really is about budget, and we have just a day to go for that big event. You as a broker, you as a market participant, especially in case of commodities, what is your wish list when you look at that?
I think we can expect some relief from the gold side after the GST and the options trading. So we can expect some supportive measures for bullion prices after to support the Indian commodity markets, and also allowing of the more supporting measures toward the options trading. That is a good wish from our side.
All right, Tapan, thank you so much for joining us. Well, that clearly seems to be the one word coming across board when it comes to commodities as a market. Something on gold in sense of import duty and GST. And the other one, of course, is about the options or the derivatives trading in commodities. Something more is what the finance minister could really talk about when it comes to commodities trading as we go on from here.